This is Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture. Today is Friday, the 9th of April 2021, and I have the pleasure of enjoying the company of a remarkable person, and I just want to let you into our discussions. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Charles Izuchukwu OKAFOR. Of course, you know Mr. Charles OKAFOR. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. Now, Charles.
Yeah.
I have this weakness. I'm a Christian, and the Bible says that God knows the beginning from the end. And I would like to take this interview from the end. What I mean is this. If you had your way, you had all powers, you had all resources, you had all the time to achieve all that you ever wanted to achieve, to be everything that you ever wanted to be, and to do everything you ever wanted to do, what would you do?
What I'm doing?
What would that be?
Acting, making films. Because the actor is a mini creator. The actor replicates the entirety of the creational order. Reason being that the actor oftentimes is saddled with the responsibility of being everything at every time by reason of role interpretations. There are times when actors are called to physicalize an aspect of the human circumstance, the human reality, the human person. And in so doing, the actor is able to, when he properly interprets these characterizations, he begins to epitomize, he begins to bring to the fore that whole essence of creation. And it's an exciting feeling, I must tell you, because nothing enamels, nothing energizes more anybody in the creative art than to be a creator in a manner that you're not competing with God, but you are saying to the world that herein lies what God intended when he created. So to answer your question in one word, if I had all the resources, if I had everything going for me, I would have loved to be an actor, just like I am.
Just like
I make films, just like I make films, especially within the ambit of advocacy.
Praise God. Actually, my question was tending more to what you would like to be remembered for. If you had the powers, the opportunities, resources to do everything, what would you like to be remembered for? I know usually this kind of question will come much later in an interview, but I like to start with it. What would you like? What one single thing would you do to change the world, to impact the world, or something, if you had limitless resources and things?
You've answered the question. To continue to contribute to positively impact the world, probably leave the world better than I met it by reason of my own humble contribution. We live in a crazy world, you must agree, and I am not a politician, not a businessman in the strict sense of the word, but I believe that actors are born, they are not made. Oscar Brockett will speak of latent sensibilities. These are the things that God had imputed in me, and of course, anybody that is truly called into this beautiful world of the creative art or the dramatic art. The joy that I'm able to exert by sundry characterizations, all those realities of life, negatively, positively, and in between, to the end that you're able to expose evil for what it is, and you're able to bring good as a counterpoise, and at the end they live happily ever after. And therein lies the whole sense of accomplishment, that you were able to bring to the fore that which was evil, but you gave a counterpoise, that which was good, and at the end of the day, somebody somewhere became happier, became more fulfilled, or found an answer to a profound question. Therein lies the accomplishment. And if that was all that one contributed to humanity, then one would have done his bit in making life better, making living more enjoyable.
Thank you very much. I deliberately didn't want to go into an elaborate introduction of Mr. Charles OKAFOR because I do not think that he needs it.
Thank you very much.
If the roles were reversed and he was the one conducting the interview, then he needs to introduce me. But now I think he is his own introduction. Mr. Charles OKAFOR.
Do you think you need any introduction, Pastor
compared to you.
Cerebral, you are a pastor, you are a researcher, you are a peace advocate. I wonder what else I would have given by way of introducing you.
Maybe I'm not in the market for a public relations officer, but I will remember it that if ever I need a public relations officer, maybe I will call on you. I will come knock on your door. Praise God. So it is certain that Mr. Charles OKAFOR does not need anybody's introduction. Mr. Charles OKAFOR is a filmmaker, actor, director, everything that has to do with films. Is a household name and more than a household name in the Nigerian film industry. In addition, you are a Christian, a minister. You are a face of Christianity. There's no doubt about that.
I'm humbled.
I also know you're a businessman.
Maybe.
A businessman, you're a compere,
program director.
Great demand as a compere. In other words, you wear so many caps. Which of these caps is the real Charles OKAFOR, would you say?
The Christian. Because every other thing is subsumed into your spiritual persona. I am convinced that the spiritual precedes the physical. In all that we do in life, our entrepreneurial dispositions, our social engagements, and the interplay of both are subsumed in your spirituality, who you truly are. And of course, as an actor, I could put on the garb of a madman in a particular flick, but sooner than later, I will get off that garb and become Charles OKAFOR. The next time you see me, I could play the role of a godfather in a cult group. Sooner than later, I'll drop the garb and return to Charles OKAFOR. Could play the role of a lover boy in another flick. Sooner than later, I drop the garb and get back to who Charles OKAFOR is. So at the end of the day, you are who you are until you are called upon momentarily to put on the garb of any particular character you have been invited to interpret. But I am essentially a being living after the grace of God, such that outside of those character interpretations, who I truly am defines me, is who I want you to meet. It's who I want you to relate with. It's who I want you to engage. And so the real me is that person that God has created. And I say in all humility that having found Christ over 2.5 decades or more ago, I would want people, I want to invite people to know me for who I am and not the characters that I play.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Charles. I know you are very well known as an actor, but I think you are getting even better known as a preacher, as a Christian.
Well, I agree that oftentimes in the last couple of years, my ecclesiastical engagements, by reason of the invitations to speak,
is eclipsing,
redefined my person.
Yes.
But truth of the matter is that I am not a pastor within the context of any clerical or ordained calling.
Yes.
Yes, I have been invited to preach at several fora, but that doesn't make me a pastor. We all are called, to be evangelists. The Great Commission, and the Great Commission breaks walls and dismantles all manner of what you call centrifugal breaches, just for us to be able to reach the world and galvanize the world for Christ. I am happy, I'm excited that people call me a pastor. Do it wrong, because I'm not a pastor. And I want to use this medium to tell the world that I'm not a pastor. But yes, I get invited, like every other person does. You are the ordained man. You run a ministry, you are called, you're ordained. I am not ordained unto ministry. So it would be wrong for me to apply myself to that pastoral identification. But yes, I agree that we get invited by His mercy, by His grace, to share in, galvanizing the world, as it were, within the context of the Great Commission.
Charles, we will not argue about that for now, especially since we will come back to this issue of your faith a little along the line.
No
Yes, but I want to point out to you that the economists say that money is what money does. It's not what you write the word money on. But if it does what money does, then it's money. In a similar vein, a pastor is what a pastor does.
I agree.
You know, yes. So,
within that very loose definition,
yes,
I agree.
yes,
I agree.
yes.
But because we are a country or a people that are too stridently ardent to titles.
To titles, yes,
I hesitate to be so characterized, so that people do not see you on the. I'll have cause to tell people by the side that, look, I'm just Charles OKAFOR. Let's leave it at that. I'm not a pastor. Because each time you preach or each time they see you speak at certain fora, they believe that anybody who calls out a quotation from the Bible has become a pastor. But you see, the reason why we need to correct that impression is that it has also given room to charlatans, people who are pseudo ministers, what they now call the Holy Ghost industry. All manner of people come up and they brandish the Bible. Once they quote a verse or two, people see them as pastors, and they are hoodwinked. And there are charlatans everywhere. You don't have to be a pastor to apply yourself to the Great Commission. There are people that God has called and ordained to that particular ministry. And that is why I want to strongly suggest to people to leave me as Charles
OKAFOR. Like I said, we will come back to that a little further along the line. But for now, would you mind sharing with us about your childhood? Did you have a childhood at all, or you just happened fully formed as it is?
I had a childhood.
Would you mind sharing with us about what it was like?
I had an exciting childhood. It repels me to say that the children of today, including my children, do not have the kind of childhood that we had. Born in Ajegunle into decrepit poverty.
You were?
I was born in Ajegunle. Ajegunle in the back streets of Lagos was where I was born, into decrepit poverty. I navigated through suffering, absences of all those appurtenances of being born into comfort. I didn't have any of those. I mean, born into a family where we lived in face me, I face you, and all that. I went to public primary school, Araromi Central School 1A. And so, I mean, from the name of the school, you can tell that the kind of school I was. But the truth of the matter is that regardless, I grew up knowing my siblings, both elder and younger, loving me, bonding, playing in the sand, running around in the rain with our torn pants, riding Boris. I don't know what Boris is. Wheeled cars on the road with our backsides crashed on both sides. Having our mothers burn knives and fire and drop red oil into our broken toes, and the pain was as bad as the pain of labor. And having our mothers pull out worms from our buttocks, from our asses. Each time we had herb tea to purge us, purgatives. Eating sour soups that had been tempered with potash, just because there wasn't so much money to pour away the soup and cook fresh ones. And let me publicly confess that sometimes we caused the soup to go sour in the first place. Each time we went to steal meat from the so we did all of
you did all that.
I did. And the beautiful thing about this is that in all of these, our parents beat us with so much love. They spanked us with so much love. We were reprimanded, we were deprecated, we were admonished. But all of those was because we were born into a very violent environment. Violent because of the fact that the people who populated that demographic in Ajegunle were densely poor people. So because of poverty, all manner of social vices prevailed at the time. And so it was very easy for young people, impressionable minds, to fall prey to all manner of vices. Could be petty stealing, could be smoking, road newspaper, and before you knew it, people got addicted, people became prostitutes, people became robbers, and all of those. So our parents, seeing all that happened around us, said to themselves that if they didn't deal with us, we probably would end up like some of our mates.
Yes.
And thank God for Walter OKAFOR and Sarah Oliako OKAFOR, my parents of blessed memory, who, with very heavy hands, insisted that we would not go the way the other children had gone. And today, we live to become testimonies of responsible children. All of us in the family, entire siblings. So, we had an exciting, childhood. Of course, I remember during Christmas or Easter, which just went by, we would be decked in our uniform. Our parents would have bought us new shoes and sewn new clothes, and we'd go from neighbor to neighbor eating rice and drinking Coke. By the time we came back, our tummies would have been so distended and all that. But today, no parent would allow their children to walk from one house to the other to eat. There is this mutual distrust. There's this fear that this one wants to kill this person. There's even pollution in the land, and there's even all manner of social vices, child trafficking, child molestation, child abuse. So everybody has hemmed in his or her child in a manner that life is no longer sweet like it used to be sweet during our time.
Now there's that Ajegunle, which we say is a ghetto.
It was a ghetto.
When you were growing up. But now I understand the same Ajegunle produced you.
To the glory of God. Yes.
Your siblings.
Yes.
Your siblings.
Yes, all of us.
All of you?
Yes.
It also produced Egalu, I understand.
Yeah, Egalu.
It produced Henry Mosu.
Thank you very much.
You know
so you born in that
and some of these people who have made a mark on the world. Some of them are role models, international roles. Okay, so what I'm saying now is we are talking about environment and its power. Over people say, okay, because this is a ghetto child or this behaving this way, But why did it not negatively impact you, Egalo, Henry Wosu, Tunji Disu, and all these other people? Why did you escape the taint of the environment?
It is not even a matter of escaping it. The truth of the matter is that creation had wired us to be successes. Creation has wired us to be successes. Where you were born had nothing to do with what God had intended for you to be. Jesus was born in a manger. It didn't stop him from being the King of Kings and
the Lord of us. Yes.
The truth of the matter remains that we are who we are by reason of who we are created to be. Of course, the devil would come to see how to knock us off that straight path, that which God had intended for us to be. Like, unfortunately, some of our friends and mates in Ajegunle, my generation, some probably ended up armed robbers and got killed. Some ended up on the streets as mad people, having been destroyed by drugs and substance abuse. Some became mothers when they were teenagers by reason of prostitution, occasioned by hunger, and all of those. But truth of the matter is that Ajegunle, for me, which is why I proudly brandish the flag of having been born in Ajegunle, is the totality of what reminds me of the goodness of God upon my life. When you look back and you see that there is nothing about your antecedent that prepared you to become a movie star. I mean, everywhere that I've been in the world, I've been so received with so much glee and appreciation.
Yes.
We find that Ajegunle, like every other back street anywhere in the world, prepared you to do what? To excitedly burn the fire that God had lit in you. It was a new smoldering. But because of the poverty that you came from, all right, you were challenged to say, I do not want to remain in this poverty. So you see, Ajegunle has a way. Ajegunle now for me is symbolical of that which challenges you, which provokes you, which motivates you to give your best, to go all out there and be better than the environment. I mean, our parents didn't elect to give birth to us in Ajegunle.
Yes.
Circumstances led to it.
Yes.
But for us to remain in Ajegunle becomes a judgment that we willfully do what? Enter into. And that is not to say that there are no successful people in Ajegunle. I mean, there are people who are doing very well, who still choose to live in Ajegunle. Yes. And they have beautiful houses in Ajegunle and all of those. Yes. I'm just saying that Ajegunle propelled us to do what? Yes. To seek to become successful in life at various levels of success.
Praise God. You talk so glowingly with such a nostalgia about the times in Ajegunle. What aspect of that early life in Ajegunle do you think you could choose to live again, to experience again?
The sense of Nigerianness. And each time I say this, I get emotional. Ajegunle was a mini Nigeria. You know, I spoke Yoruba before I spoke Igbo.
You did?
Yeah.
I will look at because you are master of Yoruba.
I think I can tell you that I picked snippets of various dialects. I didn't know who was Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba.
Growing up in Ajegunle.
Efik, Ijaw. Each time
they were just human beings.
Each time there was a major Salah celebration,
yes,
you know, we looked forward to it. You know why? Our friends that were Muslims, we would rush to their homes to eat Salah meat. Nobody told us that there were demons in Islam.
Yes.
Nobody ever said that Christians were infidels.
Yes.
We grew up loving ourselves. The best teachers that ever taught me in the primary school at Araromi Central School 1, I still remember Mr. Obu, Mr. Badmus, who caned the hell out of us. They were not Igbos.
Yeah.
And I still remember Mukaila and what is his name? Mukaila and Abudu. These were my classmates in the primary school. So Ajegunle prepared us to be Nigerians, to be first and foremost human beings, to love ourselves. There was no fear of anyone poisoning you. He didn't have any reason to poison you. Why? Because you were his friend. Christmas time, everybody went about eating from everybody's kitchen. And you know what? Because rice, which today we play about with, was a rare delicacy.
Yes.
In the sense that our parents couldn't afford to feed us rice every Sunday. So each Sunday that we were going to eat rice, by the preceding day, Saturday, our mother had begun to prepare the stew. The aroma as it elicited from the kitchen, the public kitchen where there were about 10 other stoves, would attract our friends from other compounds who will come to befriend us. You know why?
Yes.
Because of tomorrow.
Because of tomorrow.
So I'm saying that Ajegunle was the ideal Nigeria, which unfortunately we have lost today. And what has led to it? Religion, number one, and politics. The elites have destroyed Nigeria. Because I tell you the truth, nobody knew who came from where. We loved ourselves unabashedly. But today, it's a shame that it's a shame what has become of Nigeria. It's a shame.
Yes,
And the
you can say.
blame lies squarely in the corridor or on the corridor, politicians and religious bigots and religious leaders.
Thank you very much, Charles. I just wish we could continue this line of thought, but we need to take a break.
Okay.
When we come back, we'll look at a few things we'll consider about your experience in film, growing up, and things like that. So we'll just take a break. So this Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture, we've been talking here with Charles Izuchukwu OKAFOR, film actor, filmmaker, producer, director, businessman, public speaker, and quite a lot of other things. It's a pleasure, Charles. Thank you. So we are just hold on a bit. We are coming back after a short break. Thank you very much. Yeah.